Hey, Dr. Nathan Bryan, how you doing, man?
Great, Karl. Great to be with you. Good to see you.
Well, it's good to see you. It's really good to have you back on the show. We were talking off camera before I started rolling here and recording. But I enjoyed talking with you so much. And this is your third time on the show now. Every time I speak with you, I'm not the same for the rest of the day because my head is spinning. So,
But I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
well, for me, it's a good thing because I learned so much. You always cause me to think differently, and I just love that. And I want to say congratulations on the new book. It came out this couple days ago here, and I'm so happy for you. Bravo.
Thanks. Like this has been a tour de force. This has been a 2-year project. There was a lot of resistance to me publishing this book. Lawyers from companies and from competitors sent really nasty letters to me and my publisher, and they didn't really want a lot of this stuff published because when you tell the truth about nitric oxide and the science, there are a lot of people who don't want to hear that. So it's been I'm really proud of it, and my agent Alan Morrell and creative management partners made this happen, and Brick Tower Press. It's been great, but I'm really proud of the work, and it's I think it's going to change a lot of people's lives, and that's really the overall mission.
Well, that, in my opinion, that constitutes another congratulations and another bravo. And that's one of the reasons I do this show is to get people on who are going to tell us the truth. We've had some guests on who I'm sure you know a lot of them, authors, researchers, doctors, MDs, PhDs, whatever, best-selling authors. And a lot of stuff coming down the pike is not appreciated by big pharma, big food, big ag, maybe even some government people. But that is one of the reasons, though. I love it when you come on the show because you're going to share with us the reality. So the name of the book, folks, is The Secret of Nitric Oxide, Bringing the Science to Life by Dr. Nathan Bryan. And I know we're airing this on radio, but for those who do see this on YouTube, you happen to have a copy there.
But I've got an advanced author copy because there were a select few of these, but yeah, we just launched the book on Monday, the 24th. So the book is available now wherever books are sold: Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can go to nathansbook.com. It'll redirect you. But I'm extremely proud of it. You can get it in hardback, hardcover, paperback, and even on Kindle now. And we're working on the audio books, obviously. And we'll have it translated in many different languages because I think this is too important. I think, obviously, my own personal bias, but I think everybody in the world should read this book because it should change their life.
Well, I do too. And when I ordered mine on Amazon, I got the hard copy because I don't. I'll probably be looking at it a lot, reading it a lot. I don't want the covers to wear out.
Right.
I do that with the books I know I'm going to like, or especially like and refer to often. We've talked about this before on the show, but in case there are people listening right now who are not familiar with your work or with nitric oxide, let's just talk about nitric oxide is so important. It has a fascinating story behind it.
Yeah.
It's something we find, naturally found in our bodies. It diminishes as we age, like a lot of things do. But just let's go right to the root. First of all, what is nitric oxide and why is it so important?
Well, today it's recognized as probably one of the most important molecules produced in the body of humans. You need nitric oxide to deliver oxygen, and obviously, I think everyone listening to this knows how important oxygen is. But if without nitric oxide, you can't deliver oxygen, so it won't come off hemoglobin in the red blood cells. You become hypoxic. I mean, that's what we saw during COVID was a hypoxemia. But it regulates blood flow, oxygen delivery. It tells our own stem cells to mobilize and differentiate so we can repair and heal wounds and replace dysfunctional cells. Induces mitochondrial biogenesis, so it improves the cellular efficiency and the energy production efficiency of the cell. Prevents the ends of our chromosomes from getting shorter, so it extends lifespan, and it's really the longevity molecule. And as you mentioned, the older we get, the less we make, and now that's what's responsible for age-related disease. So if we can maintain sufficient nitric oxide production, both the basic science and the clinical translation of that science reveals that we can live a longer, healthier, better quality of life.
Exactly. And so you use a word that we speak about here often, mitochondria.
Yeah.
But we talked about this last week, folks. We talked about mitochondria is to your cell what your battery is to your car. Basically, it's your power pack. And we also were talking about mitochondrial dysfunction and how this is oftentimes the root of chronic disease. So let's tie nitric oxide into this. And I'm only surmising here there could be a connection between sufficient nitric oxide and avoiding chronic disease, perhaps, or the other way around. We don't have enough, and then we get some kind of chronic illness.
No, I think the data are very clear that when you lose the ability to produce nitric oxide, so this functional loss of the production and the lining of the blood vessels is really the earliest event in the onset and progression of all chronic disease. So if you think about this, so what is the hallmark of chronic disease? And you can see this in heart disease, you can see it in dementia, Alzheimer's, autoimmune disease, diabetes, liver disease, kidney disease, lung disease. So there's four things that happen. Number one, there's decreased blood flow. So we call it ischemia, focal ischemia. And that's because the blood vessels become stiff and constricted, and there's less blood flow getting through there. Number two, there's always inflammation. We know inflammation is the silent killer, the driver of all chronic disease. Number three, you start to get oxidative stress. The mitochondria become uncoupled. They generate a lot of superoxide. There's electron leakage across the the inner membrane in the mitochondria. And then this causes our immune cells and system to become dysfunctional. We call that immune dysfunction. So low blood flow, inflammation, oxidative stress, and immune dysfunction, you can see it. It describes every chronic disease. And so if you think what nitric oxide does, well, it dilates the blood vessels. So now we're improving blood flow to every organ, tissue, and cell in the body. It decreases inflammation. You know, many of my patents are on a method of reducing inflammation through nitric oxide. It completely eliminates the oxidative stress. So it recouples the electron transport chain of the mitochondria. It induces mitochondrial biogenesis. It shuts down superoxide production from NADPH oxidase. And then it restores the immune dysfunction. So it changes the phenotype of the macrophages from kind of a pro-inflammatory phenotype to an anti-inflammatory phenotype. In that one molecule, nitric oxide addresses the root cause of the hallmarks of every single age-related chronic disease. So that's why this is such an important story that needs to be told. And we call it the secret because, you know, we in the scientific community know about this, but, you know, it seems to be a secret to everybody around the world because no one has heard about this. And so it's time to reveal the secrets of the really rich science on nitric oxide that's been published in the scientific literature over the past 40 years.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. I just had a thought. We have to go to break in a couple of minutes, but I just had this thought. It's going to sound really strange to some listeners out there. But I believe you and I were talking about this last time. Is nitric oxide at all maybe part of why some people have these brittle nails or really funky fingernails and toenails, especially? I see a lot of toenails that are really bad. Is there any correlation there?
Well, yeah, I know that typically these are fungal infections, and fungus and things like that grow in low oxygen, low pH, low voltage environments.
Mhm.
So without nitric oxide, we get decreased blood flow, we get low oxygen, and that sets the stage for, you know, these fungus growth. And we know we've maybe seen it. I posted on social media the other day, and I learned stuff about nitric oxide every day just by the use of the products. But a guy who had like really nasty, gnarly fingernails, fungal infections in the nails for 5 years, nothing would affect it. And so one of the physicians that uses our products goes, Nathan, what do you think about this? And I go, hey, put the serum on it. And within 5 applications of our nitric oxide producing serum, the nail completely cleared up, the nail bed improved, the nail got stronger, and it completely eradicated this fungal infection that was unresolved for 5 years.
Wow. I'm really glad I asked that question too, because I have a couple toenail stories. I'm not sure I'll tell them, but
Ready for ready.
exactly. Well, we are with Dr. Nathan Bryan. You can go to nathansbook.com. Is that the right site? nathansbooks.com. That'll redirect you to places you can buy the book. This is Your Health Matters here on News Radio 570 WSYR, also available on 106.9 FM. We'll be back after this short break. All right, we're back with Dr. Nathan Bryan. Yeah, this toenail stuff, man, it bugs me sometimes. But we won't talk about that. But it is true, right? I've have even experienced some toenail issues in my life, and well, I started taking your like a nitric oxide. Actually, I I feel more energy. I don't know if that's supposed to happen, but maybe it's because I have just increased blood flow. My O2 numbers are better when I'm, taking the oximeter and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like 99 all the time now.
Well, now, when you have better blood flow, better circulation, better oxygen delivery to your cells, you're going to feel better. And, we can explain this mechanistically because we got more mitochondria generating more cellular energy more efficiently. And, everything works better when you have sufficient nitric oxide and better blood flow and circulation.
Absolutely. And this whole thing, folks, like we talk about this on the show almost every week. We mention mitochondrial health, mitochondrial function, and of course the dysfunction. Well, we want our mitochondria to be powering our cells. We want our cells to be oxygenated and healthy. And of course, that means we have to have blood flow to get the oxygen. And it's just kind of a no-brainer, yet it seems to be something that people lose track of. It's not talked about enough. That's why we're having you here a third time. We've got to know about this stuff. This needs to be like right in the forefront of our brain. We need, in my opinion, we must know the importance of nitric oxide. Now, I want to continue talking about benefits of nitric oxide, but one of the things I find fascinating is the resistance to you publishing the book. And are you able to share anything? Not that I want company names or people. I don't want that. But what's going on? Like, why do they want you not to publish? I mean, I can only surmise they don't want the truth to get out. But what is it about the truth that's going to do something to harm them?
Well, it's fascinating. You know, in science, we always try to advance the understanding of, human disease and how do we make people better and understand physiology and disease to the extent that we can create novel therapeutics or product technology. Nitric oxide, when I started in this field 25 years ago, I mean, it was a nascent field. There was, I think, probably 60,000 papers published in the literature today. There were over 200,000 scientific publications. But these companies out there that are selling so-called nitric oxide products don't want this because somebody that's been in the field for 25 years, who's actually been in the trenches, been in the research lab, understanding the biochemistry and the enzymology and the physiology, who's made a lot of discoveries and has product technology that actually produces nitric oxide gas, don't want me out there telling the true science of nitric oxide because, once people understand and become educated and informed, then these consumers are going to make educated, informed decisions on their product technology. They don't want this known. So the book really goes through the 40-year, maybe 50-year history of how was nitric oxide discovered, what led to a Nobel Prize, what it is, what it does, and why people should be what people should be concerned about. But also, I weave my personal story into this, my story of scientific discovery and innovations, kind of the hurdles and the resistance we've had to overcome. And originally in the draft of the book, I listed these people. And, then they sent it, apparently somehow they got an early draft of it and then didn't want this revealed. So, the publisher and I, along with a team of lawyers, went through this and just made sure that, we were truthful about the science. We still tell the story of the resistance. But what I hope people get from this is, number one, understand what nitric oxide is, how important it is. But number two, to reveal that, if you're doing something that's worthwhile, I mean, anything worthwhile doing is not easy. And people, if you're doing stuff that's transformative and has the potential to change the world in medicine, then you become a target and people come after you.
Yeah.
And so the motivation for this is to hopefully motivate and inspire people, despite the resistance, despite the opposition, despite the lawsuits and the millions of dollars we spend on defending ourselves and the technology, you have to keep with it. Never give up, never give in, follow your dreams. And no matter how hard or difficult or dark the days get, you have to keep your head down and keep moving. And I think, so that's why I think this is important, because when people understand what nitric oxide is and what it does and who actually makes products that produce nitric oxide, restore the body's ability to produce nitric oxide, then that's not good news for these companies who are selling products that not only do not work, but cannot work because either they don't understand the science or they understand it, but they just don't want to address it. They'd rather provide products and really creative or deceptive marketing and hope that people still buy from them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a common theme too, right, folks? For people listening often to this show, first of all, thanks for listening. But we hear this a lot. We hear about the deceptive marketing. We hear about well, Dr. Robert Lustig was on last week, and I'm sure you know him. So he was talking, actually, it'd be really funny because we were talking about marketing, food labels.
Yeah.
And he says, they're useless. I mean, when it comes down to it, a lot of times the labels are just useless because they're not really telling us the truth. They're not telling us that much. And the marketing to go around it, literally around the package, makes it look like, oh, this has got to be the best thing. And it's fake news. It's not the best thing. A lot of times it's the worst thing.
There was a study, I can't remember, I think it was an independent agency or a watchdog group. They went to a local supplement store and bought maybe 100 different products. I can't remember, don't quote me on that, but they went out and just sampled products that are sold on the shelf. And these, not necessarily nitric oxide products. And then they took it to an independent research lab and they just measured what was in that product. And I think it was like 85% of the products that were sold didn't contain what was on the label. I mean, that is as deceptive as it comes. I mean, people go and buy these products thinking they're going to get, what they need in terms of supplements. And yet the data show that what they're buying, what they think they're buying is not even what's said on the label. And that's a problem with the supplement industry. It's the wild, wild west because at the end of the day, we can all say the same thing. We can help support normal structure and function of the human body, but, we can't make specific claims, although many companies do. And that's why I'm so focused on, getting this approved through the FDA because, then you go through the rigor of not only safety, but proving efficacy for specific disease indications. And we're taking our core technology and developing drug therapy for heart disease, Alzheimer's. We're making a topical drug for diabetic ulcers. So I think when we do that, people will know that somebody who's been entrenched in the science for 25 years, who's the CEO of these companies making these products, that you can trust the science and you can trust not only that it's safe, but it's going to do exactly what we say it does. And we're spending the money and going through the time and effort to do FDA clinical trials to get drugs approved. And I think anybody who, if we've gone through the rigor of developing drug therapy, surely they'll trust us on the supplements that we have on the market.
Yeah, well, as I say often, when I bring a guest on the show, I make sure I research them thoroughly, and I don't bring people on the show who are full of crap. I bring legit, bona fide people who know what they're doing, and they're doing the things that are going to help us to live a better quality of life, an increased health span within our lifespan. And you are among the top tier, legit, doing the work, especially in an area where I know there's research on nitric oxide and this, but yours is just going so deep and it's so long you've been doing this. And I commend you for the work too, and commend you for coming out with a book in the face of resistance because I, I have a lot of respect for you as a human and as your integrity of what you're doing and putting out there. So appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, thanks. I get criticized a lot because I don't have formal business training. But I'm the CEO of these companies. But I can tell you what, I will never abdicate the leadership role in these companies to a CEO who doesn't understand the science because I will never put profits before the truth and the science. And I think that's what makes us different. So, business people can criticize me all day long, but I'll continue to lead the company based on science.
I understand. We have to go to break, folks. We're with Dr. Nathan Bryan. His new book is out. It's called The Secret of Nitric Oxide, Bringing the Science to Life. Go to nathansbook.com. You can check it out there. This is Your Health Matters on News Radio 570 WSOR. See you in a couple of minutes. All right, we're back with Dr. Nathan Bryan. And I was just thinking on the break, I'm also a CEO of a company and I am not a business guy. That's why I have a team because the operating officer, the growth officer, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. But understanding the science, that's another thing I think is really so important. Not to digress, but just real quick, I have known really good companies, good products who brought in a new CEO who didn't understand the benefits of the product, and every one of them was like, they tanked, they're gone, and it's very very sad. So kudos to understanding the science. You can always get people to run a business for you, right? That's what I need.
No, you gotta hire good people and put them
Yeah,
in
man.
the right position.
Yeah, otherwise I'd be going kaput too. So, well, the book, The Secret of Nitric Oxide, Bringing the Science to Life, brand new on the market as of March 24th, I believe.
That's right.
I'm sorry, February 24th. So let's go through, take us through the book if you don't mind. I'd like to kind of get an idea, guiding us through what's in it. What are you talking about?
Well, it starts, with the forward, and the preface kind of sets the stage for the book, but it starts where it started with me. First chapter is who I am, kind of chronicles my early days as a kid and growing up in small town Texas. Kind of the challenges and hurdles I had to overcome even as a young kid. And, I had my own apartment at 15, 16 years old. I lived alone. I was, finished high school, living by myself, paying rent, working 2 jobs to pay rent. In fact, I was the only kid in high school who could sign his own report card. Even 'cause I was
Oh, wow.
independent.
Jeez.
But then it talks about, the journey. Because these are the questions I always get. How'd you get interested in nitric oxide? What led you down this journey? So I just chronicle this. And then, that's kind of the first third of the book, first quarter of the book. And then I talk about the discovery of nitric oxide, what led to the Nobel Prize, my interactions and relationship with the Nobel laureates, what kind of led me down this path. And then from there, I talk about my own independent research career. What did we do? What did we discover? How did we think differently? And how these simple observations and these many publications we had in the scientific literature, how did that allow us to think differently and do what no one else in the field had done? I mean, big pharma has been trying to make nitric oxide based therapies for 30 years, and they've all failed. So people go, well, how have you done what, the smartest people in the world and the biggest companies in the world, the billion-dollar budgets, were unable to do? And so I chronicle that and talk about just the simple observations that we made that made us pivot and think differently. And so all that's chronicled. And then at the very end, I talk about where we headed from here. So here's what's happened. Here's where we are. Now, where are we going? And the future of healthcare. And really why I don't believe, I know that this is going to change the world, because once we can address the root cause of chronic disease, then you can actually get people better. And also talk about the statistics, the data. The US has 4% of the population, and we prescribe 70% of the world's medications. And we have the sickest population. So
I didn't know
obviously,
that set of
obviously
numbers.
medicine is not making anyone better. So we have to get back to the root cause, address that. And, that's kind of the story. But the overall objective that I want people to walk away from the book is understand what nitric oxide is, understand what you may be doing in your own life that leading to its inhibition or decreased production. And so, this book is only for 2 people. I only want 2 people to read this book. Number 1, if you're well and don't want to get sick, you have to read this book. Number 2, if you're sick and want to get well, you have to read this book, because it addresses both of those and everything we need to do. And I think my goal is that people start to be proactive instead of reactive, because medicine today is a reactive practice. People don't take action until they're sick or have a crisis or have a heart attack. And, unfortunately for many people, the first sign of vascular disease is sudden cardiac death. And then obviously it's too late. So I want people to understand what this is so they can be empowered to take control of their own health so they never have to see a physician again.
Well, that's a huge demographic too. Both of them, both people, but there is, so much chronic disease at this point in time, and there has been It's been growing and growing. I don't know the current numbers. Seems like they change every week, but
Yeah.
it's huge. Um, I was just on a meeting before our call here, before our meeting here to talk with you today. We were just talking about this whole preventative aspect of things and how important it is. And so I see, myself as kind of a late bloomer, pretty much in every respect. I mean, I was a breech baby born feet first, so I did everything backwards in my whole life.
I can relate.
Yeah, I didn't really get anything together until I was about 48 years old. And, so now I'm 64. And it's like, okay, I'm starting to live now the past few years. But, and that, when I say that, I'm not just talking like, career wise or anything, although that is one of the aspects, but health wise, this whole constant learning of what can go wrong with us if we don't take preventative action, and then what of a struggle it can be to come back from some chronic illness like reversing diabetes, battling cancer, um, fatty liver. That fatty liver disease was a big thing for me. I was a heavy drinker, but then I had non-alcohol fatty liver for a long time
Yeah, no,
because, the damage was done and I was still eating, not optimally. But now my liver is fine. I work hard on this though. But I don't want to focus on me, but I just wanted to say that because I can also relate at 64 that, we need to take care of ourselves. Things aren't the same, man.
no.
I feel really good, but I'm not sprinting like I used to. I'm not doing a lot of things like I used to. So we need our mitochondria to be healthy. Nobody wants to be stabbing themselves with a needle every day or every week and these different shots and all the 20 different medications twice a day, maybe for different things. Sometimes it's out of control and you have to do it, but so much is preventable for us. And so
You know what?
I used to view nitric oxide as what's the word I'm looking for? It's paramount. It is essential.
Well, we would call it foundational. I mean, it's a foundational
Okay,
molecule,
thank you.
and it's essential. But yeah, unless you're born with a genetic disease or what we call an inborn error metabolism, every disease you develop in life is reversible.
Yeah.
It's reversible, it's treatable, it's curable, but most importantly, it's preventable.
Yeah.
And so we understand that in the basic sciences. In the animal models, we have cured every single disease known to man in animal
Yeah.
models, and we understand the underlying pathology and the biochemistry. So it doesn't translate into humans, right? Because it's just there's so many confounding factors: the food we eat, what we put in our body, on our body, what we're exposed to in the environment. In animal research, we control their environment. We control their light cycle. We control their water intake. We control what food they eat, their stress levels, all of that. And that's just not the same in humans. I mean, we can't control anything in the human. That's why it's so difficult to translate basic science into clinical medicine because it just doesn't translate right. But once you
Yeah.
understand the basics and the foundation of cell biology and biochemistry and physiology, then you can start to address that and translate. And so many of the things we've done in the basic sciences are translated into clinical medicine and in humans.
That was a topic recently, just an offhanded topic that came up about chronic disease in the animal population. It's pretty much not there. I mean, the giraffe doesn't have to think about, is that leaf gluten free? It just eats what it knows it's supposed to eat. It doesn't even have to think about it. And we do have a lot of choices. Obviously, there's a lot behind those choices of sometimes convenience. But of course, now I think really money is the root of a lot of this. It's just money's driving big ag, big food, government, and big pharma. So, with that said, we need to go to a break. We're with Dr. Nathan Bryan, who I love having you on the show, man. His new book is out called The Secret of Nitric Oxide, Bringing the Science to Life. You can go to nathansbook.com. And if you go to karlsterling.com, Karl with a K, you're going to see it right on the front page. Visit there. Go buy his book. This is News Radio 570 WSYR. We'll be back with Nathan Bryan in a couple of minutes. All right, we're back. This is Your Health Matters. We're with Dr. Nathan Bryan. This nitric oxide discussion is so fascinating. And in your new book, which is out now, The Secret of Nitric Oxide. Again, go to nathansbook.com and it'll redirect you to a place you can buy it. But you have a very glowing, what we call like a testimonial from the Nobel Prize winner for nitric oxide. And I forget what his name again. What is his name?
Lou Ignoro.
Yes. So he wrote the foreword for the book. Is that
I've been so fortunate. So, Dr. Ignoro, who won the Nobel Prize, shared the Nobel Prize in 1980 for the discovery of nitric oxide.
Oh.
I sent him an early draft of the book, and, I've been a friend of Dr. Ignoro and a big fan of his for, more than 30 years now. But, I've been very fortunate. David Perlmutter wrote a glowing forward, and then the Surgeon General, Antonia Novella, wrote books, and then dozens of endorsements. But, the one I'm proud of because, it's like the old saying, if I've seen further, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. And certainly Lou Ignoro has been a giant in the field, and the greatest honor of any science is a Nobel Prize. But yeah, I'd like to read, if I may,
Please.
what he wrote about the book. So he goes, "The Secret of Nitric Oxide, Bring the Science to Life is a must read for anyone interested in improving their overall health and living a longer and more productive life. As Dr. Nathan Bryan clearly points out, there's one miracle molecule in your body that is largely responsible for your health and longevity. It's nitric oxide. The discovery of this molecule, also known as NO, has revolutionized our understanding not only of cardiovascular disease, but many other chronic diseases, including dementia, gastrointestinal disorders, and erectile dysfunction. Your body produces nitric oxide, and it is essential that you live a lifestyle that promotes the production and action of nitric oxide. This includes a healthy diet and physical activity. Dr. Bryan provides extensive and convincing evidence that certain nutritional supplements, which he terms nutraceuticals, which is a term that I trademark, it boosts the production of your own NO in the body, which can prevent and even reverse numerous chronic diseases." Then he goes on to say, in this fascinating and timely treatise, Dr. Bryan opens up and shares intimate details about himself and his journey and his accomplishments and heartbreaking setbacks both in science and in life on his roller coaster ride up and down the road to his remarkable success as a scientist and entrepreneur. In addition to teaching us about NO and all the therapeutic benefits of this miracle molecule, the one lesson to be learned from the author is that one key to success is never giving up, no matter what obstacles lie in your path. The emotional stories behind Dr. Bryan's success portray a person who is dedicated and committed to developing and marketing nitric oxide products and drug therapy that he believes will improve your health and extend your longevity. Long live nitric oxide. Lou Ignoro, 1998 Nobel Prize winner in physiology or medicine.
Well, congratulations on that.
Now that really hit
That's
home and that warms my heart to know that you get that type of response and endorsement from the guy who started the field. And so I'm just happy to carry the baton. They built this field, which I've been so fortunate and blessed to work in for the past 25 years.
I just love that. I really can't say enough about, bravo to you and kudos to you and Perlmutter too. That guy's no slacker,
David's
he's got some serious, he's really a legit deal, man. He's awesome.
He is. David's a really close friend, and he loves what we're doing, and he and I are working together to develop an Alzheimer's drug. He's been a big proponent, probably the world's experts in neurological disease, and we think we've cracked the code on Alzheimer's, and we're developing a nitric oxide drug, and we're developing clinical trials now to get this through the FDA, and we both believe that this is going to eradicate Alzheimer's.
That is like the best news. That's the best news. Because, it's a horrible disease, and we've talked about it here a lot on the show. And, well, definitely going to have you back to talk about that once you're ready, because that's a biggie. That's a biggie. So, okay, we've got the book, The Secret of Nitric Oxide, Bringing the Science to Life by Dr. Nathan Bryan. If you go to nathansbook.com, you can order it there. Take us through a little bit more about the book. What else do you talk about? You have your story. What else?
I just chronicled, and really the book and the chronology basically talks about the discoveries we made. So, each chapter could be an entire book on its own, but I just try to get the highlights. Like why does the Mediterranean diet through nutritional epidemiology is shown to be cardioprotective? What is it about the Japanese diet, the dietary approaches to stop hypertension, that we've discovered that really the mechanism of action of those diets is its ability to stimulate and restore the production of nitric oxide? We talk about, a paper we published in 2009 looking at traditional Chinese medicines. How are these tinctures and herbs and medicines that have been used for thousands of years actually working, and patients get better in Eastern medicine, but they don't in Western medicine? It's because we discovered that they're producing nitric oxide, providing bioactive nitric oxide. We talk about our discoveries in 2011 on how nitric oxide is involved in insulin signaling and glucose uptake. So diabetes and insulin resistance and even Alzheimer's is a symptom of nitric oxide deficiency. And so these are huge, just paradigm changing concepts that I just briefly touch on and take you through kind of the observations and the experiments we designed to come to those conclusions. And we talk about, our paper in 2007, where we were the first group to discover that nitric oxide is a hormone. I mean, think about that. A hormone is a molecule produced in one organ that has distal effects. And so we discovered nitric oxide is a hormone, and that was a game changer. Because now how do you replete hormones? Hormone replacement therapy, whether it's testosterone, estrogen, insulin, thyroid hormone, or vitamin D, we give that molecule. Right? We don't give you precursors or substrates and hope your body can make it. It would be, think about this. If you're insulin dependent, you don't go to the doctor and the doctor gives you 21 amino acids and hope your body can make insulin out of it. No, they give you insulin. So why in the hell would I give you precursors and hope your body can make nitric oxide? No, we have to deliver the molecule nitric oxide, which is what we do. And that's why I coined this term nutraceuticals, because nitric is inherent in that word. So when people are looking for products, look for nutraceuticals, because you can be confident that you can detect, quantify, and see the nitric oxide coming off of these products. And that's hormone replacement therapy at its best. And that's what we do that no one else has been able to do.
Amazing. Doctor, we have 2.5 minutes before we have to hard stop. How do you test for nitric oxide levels? What's the best way to test?
Well, really the only way to test is a functional device. It's called flow-mediated dilatation. It's a functional measurement of how well your blood vessels produce nitric oxide. Years ago, I developed a salivary test strip that we don't use anymore. But really, people ask me that all the time, and I think it's an important question. But here's what I tell people. It's really not necessary, because there's only two people who need nitric oxide, right? The healthy who don't want to get sick, and the sick who want to get healthy. So why do you need to test? You just take it. I've been taking it for more than 20 years, not because I need it, because I don't want to need it.
No, well, you know what? That makes sense.
Yeah.
I could go off on an analogy there, but I won't. I'll spare everybody.
Yeah.
Because I tend to do that sometimes. But well, this is, I'll tell you, this is great. The work you do is great. I love talking with you. Someday when I get down there towards Austin, I'll look you up and we'll go have nitric oxide coffee together or something.
No, that's right. Come to the ranch. We'll feed you some home raised beef and some fresh grown
vegetables
out of our garden. And
yeah, that sounds good. Well, doctor, we got to have you back again soon, because there's, I could talk for hours about this with you. There's so much to learn. You're such a wealth of information and education. The thing is it's all so important, and I can't emphasize that enough, people. It's so important what Dr. Bryan is doing. So thanks, doctor. Thanks a million for being here. Always great to see you.
Thank you very much. No, it's always great to see you, and I appreciate you having me on. Monday when we launched the book, I did 41 live TV interviews.
Wow, man.
And I was on Fox and Friends last week. I don't know if you saw that episode, but we're getting the word out. It's people like you who allow us to tell our story and provide awareness around this very essential foundational molecule.
Well, that's amazing. I'm so glad. All right, folks. Well, doctor, thank you again. To everyone who's listening, thank you for your support, for listening to the show. Be sure to go buy the Secret of Nitric Oxide, sorry, at nathansbook.com. We'll be back next week. Make sure to move your body and use your brain every single day.